This time we're going to talk about the red blood cells and the relation to the changes that occur in the fluid's tonicity, like isotonicity, hypertonicity, hypotonicity, and so on. But before talking about that, we need to mention something important, which is the total blood volume. Now, in the last time, we mentioned how can we measure the volume of the plasma, but not the total blood volume, because the blood contains the plasma plus the red blood cells. But measuring the fluid compartment actually measures just the plasma, not the red blood cells. So in order to measure the total blood volume, we have an equation that converts the plasma volume into the total blood volume. So V will equal the volume of the plasma, which is measured, over 1 minus this. This is called hematocrit. And this is the fractional concentration of the red blood cells. For example, if the red blood cells form about 40% of the blood and the measured volume of the plasma is 2 liters, so the total blood volume will equal 2 over 1 minus 0.4, which is 2 over 0.6. So 3.333 liters. So this will be the total blood volume. So this is very important. And now we will talk about the changes of the volume of the red blood cell relative to the tonicity of the solution. So if this is a red blood cell and this is the fluid, if the fluid is isotonic, no changes in the volume of the red blood cell will occur, of course. But if the fluid is hypertonic, for example, 400 milliosmoles, we know that the isotonic is 300. So if it's 400, it will be hypertonic. This means that the concentration of the particles inside the fluid will be higher than inside the red blood cell, and accordingly the water will flow from the inside of the red blood cell to the outside into the fluid. Then accordingly the volume will decrease, the volume of the red blood cell, so it will shrink. So in case we have a hypertonic plasma, this will shrink the red blood cell. On the other hand, if the plasma is hypotonic, for example 200 milliosmoles, this means that the concentration of particles here is lower than the concentration inside the red blood cells. Accordingly, the water concentration here is relatively higher, so it will flow inside the red blood cell and it will swell until it ruptures. So if we have a hypotonic plasma, this will lead to the swelling of the red blood cell. So here we have to mention a very important fact. This is the effective osmolarity. And by effective we mean that this is the osmolarity that affects the fluid exchange between the two compartments that we have here, the plasma and the water or the fluid inside the red blood cell. But there are other cases that there are other osmolarities which are not effective. For example, if we have 400 milliosmoles of sodium chloride, and at the same time we have 200 milliosmoles of urea. Urea is a penetrating substance. This means that it will not stay there. It will penetrate the membranes and it will not stay in this region in order to exchange with the red blood cells. So if I give you these two values, the total osmolarity will still be just 400, not 600. You can't add these together. So it will be 400. This means that the solution or the plasma is hypertonic, so the red blood cell will shrink. If I said that I just have 200 milliosmoles of urea, nothing else, no sodium chloride, then in this case the effective osmolarity is 0. And of course it will be hypotonic, so the red blood cell will swell. But here's the tricky part. If we have 200 milliosmoles of sodium chloride, and at the same time we have 200 milliosmoles of glycerol, now we said urea is a penetrating substance, but glycerol is a slow penetrating substance. So at the point of injection, we can say that glycerol will not directly penetrate. It will just stay there at that point. So in the beginning, the total effective osmolarity will be 400, and the red blood cell will deal with this case because 400 is hypertonic and it will shrink. As time passes, the glycerol can penetrate through the red blood cell while sodium is acting. Urea will do this at the very moment in the beginning. So it will not act while the sodium chloride is acting. So the osmolarity will still be 200 while all the urea has already penetrated through the membranes and through the red blood cell and everything. While for glycerol, at the initiation point, it will be all here, but as time passes, some of it will get inside the red blood cell and it will balance the exchange. And after all the 200 milliosmoles of glycerol are already gone, we will deal with this case because 200 is hypotonic and the red blood cell will swell. So the red blood cell will go from shrinkage to swelling. And that's it for the red blood cells and their interaction with the tonicity of the plasma. I hope it was clear for you. And until the next time, I thank you for watching and see you.